9:15, just like in 1995. Oh boy, guys, have I got a kind of a cool video to talk about today. Okay, something happened to me last night. Plot thickens already. Okay, first off, hopefully I don't get rained out too much today. I'm sure I got all my stuffs. A little bit slow moving. Went and wrangled the chickens. My cat alarm clock woke me up this morning because they're going meow meow, give me some stuff. And it's like because it's not even 7 o'clock yet. He didn't care. He was like, I want treats. I want my bowl filled. I want extra pate, catty pate. And oh yeah, he wasn't having any of that, get a full 8 hours of sleep. No, not for me anyway. For him, I mean, well, the poor guy only got 23 hours of sleep last night for himself, right? So can't expect him to be generous with that stuff. My raincoat. Gotta make sure it's my raincoat. Got a sleeve. Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, the plot thickens. So I'm going to be probably about half an hour late for work, but oh well. We got everything. Yeah, I got my monies. So, back in 1995, there was a syndicate. And that syndicate was my band. Not my first professional band, so to speak, but the band that sticks out to me the most. So between 1989 or 1990 and 1989 and 1990. Okay, so between 1990 and 1995, I did probably approximately 274 shows, from what I remember, with various different bands. And this band Syndicate, we played like 4 nights a week. Now, the thing about this band is I still have contact with the drummer through Facebook. I don't talk to him very often, but we're Facebook friends, whatever. And the bass player who I send bass memes, Dave, who used to be the formal bass player for a band called Annihilator, which is still around and still actually doing quite well, actually. They did that song Alice in Hell. But anyway, there was him, and then Mike, well, he's the closest one to me. He lives in Ottawa. And anyway, I'm constantly sending like funny bass memes to Dave because he's a bass player, right? And stuff like that. And I got the bass, so when I got my bass, I send them all like the Davey 504 stuff and whatever from time to time. Just got to keep tabs, like these people, okay? 1995, a bunch of 20-year-olds getting into a band. You would think it'd be nothing, but it's something that was the last band I was in, and it was a good metal band. In fact, I didn't realize how metal we actually were. I couldn't remember most of our songs. I remember some of the riffs I wrote, very George Lynch's type riffs, and I knew we were heavy. I knew we were like heavy enough that we would never get radio play, because at the time in the 90s we would have been too heavy for that. And we were starting out around the same time Nightwish started out, so had we stuck with it, we could have been the next Nightwish, who knows, right? But what was the raw, humble beginnings of us? Well, the raw, humble beginnings of us was mostly original songs, right? And that band, we probably covered about 1,000 different songs, because we were playing like 4 nights a week, and we'd get somebody be like, I'm sick of that fucking song, let's bring in something else. Sometimes we'd rush the songs and didn't quite have them down enough, but we'd get through it, right? And then when we got the songs down, we kicked ass. Anyway, Dave he sends me something last night. He goes, Reg, you never found, look what I found, hiding in a dark corner. Syndicate, first gig live, 1995. And you guys can watch it on YouTube. Yes, you can. Now, there's a couple of caveats. I saw it and I was so overjoyed. I'm hoping he can send me a copy of that. It was done on VHS or beta, I don't remember. I think it was Dave's mom, God rest her. wasn't into the heavy metal stuff. But she was a sport about it. Or it was either Mike's mom or Dave's mom. I can't remember. One of them. Anyway, they filmed it for us. So you've got 1995 camcorder sound, right? On a very loud metal band. Now, we did an opening act, so there's a couple caveats here. When you're an opening act, you get maybe about 10 minutes for sound check. Now, there was a new board in there, but I do remember the sound men that night. I mean, details are coming back to me now, but I do remember the sound men that night. He was a little bit on the green side. He did good, but he dropped the ball for a few things in the beginning, which is normal for your opening act, typically, right? Work out all the bugs on them. My singer Stacy, she had a cold, plus she was hungover. I remember that. And yeah, she nearly hurled a few times on stage, but she covered it well. She was a trooper. She made it through. Dave and I broke guitar and bass strings. And yeah, there was that. And then Scott had his giant spaceship drum kit. And I forgot how big his drum kit was. When I watched the video, I was like, oh yeah, you just think it's about, between him and I, because him and I had worked together for so many years before that band, that we had tearing his drum kit down to like 25 minutes, but it took us about 45 minutes to set up. He had between 19 or 29 cymbals, I remember that. But he had the double bass, he had 4 or 5 upper toms. Like, you don't see his whole kit. You can barely see him behind the kit. Like, he's a normal sized guy, but you can barely see him behind that giant kit, his Pearl Exports. But anyway, the songs, like Stacy had only just joined the band maybe about a few weeks before. So we had already played live without her while we were looking for a lead singer. And we had a few kind of like, few guys do covers with us just to get us going. And I remember the first gig that we did with Mike. Mike was his first gig. He was so nervous. He broke like the strings on his guitar, that big Dean guitar. He's the guy that looks like Dimebag Darrell. The guy that looks like Sebastian Bach with the bass is Dave. Scott's hidden behind the spaceship drum kit. The little cutie bopping around, that's Stacy, obviously. And then the guy that looks between it sounded like back then on that side of the camera. I mean, if it came out, you know, this is going to sound funny, as crappy as it'll sound, if it came out that well on a camcorder, it tells you how good the mix was, number one, because obviously, like, we weren't just washed out by drums.